Hello, this is Angela from Naturally Living Alchemy. Welcome to my channel. In today's video, we are making vanilla extract. Now this recipe is super easy to make, and the hardest decision is actually going to be choosing what kind of alcohol you want to use for this extraction. So in this video, we're going to be talking about different alcohol types, which each type has to offer, the different grades of vanilla beans out there, and which one is really the best for making homemade vanilla. And I'm going to be going over how you can make this an alcohol-free extraction as well. Regardless of the type of alcohol that you're going to be choosing, this recipe is pretty much the same. So we're going to be using 1 ounce of vanilla beans for every 8 ounces of alcohol. Now the FDA standard is 0.9 ounces of beans per every 8 ounces of alcohol. So the alcohol you're going to need to choose will have to be between 70 and 100 proof, or 35 to 50%. If your alcohol is stronger than 100 proof or 50%, you're going to need to add in some distilled water just to avoid damaging the beans. Types of vanilla beans. So vanilla beans are primarily from the vanilla orchid, which is native to Mexico, but it's mostly grown in Madagascar, Indonesia, as well as Tahiti. Now we have many types of vanilla beans available to us. I am not going to be going over every single one, but I do have some common ones that you might come across. First, and this is in no particular order except for the order in which I'm telling you. So first we have Madagascar vanilla beans, and this is actually the type I'm going to be using, and this is considered to be the best of all the vanilla beans. This gives us a rich, creamy, and bold flavor, and it pairs best with vodka or bourbon. Tahitian vanilla beans will produce a mild floral extract with a hint of chocolate, and that pairs well with brandy or white rum. Ugandan vanilla beans, they produce a warm, earthy undertone with dark chocolate and caramelized sugar, and it also has a floral aroma with hints of honey. And these vanilla beans pair best with bourbon or dark rum. And Mexican vanilla beans. This produces spicy undertones with toasted oak, mocha, caramel, and other warm spices. Let's talk about grades of vanilla beans, because there are 3 different ones, 2 that I've come across easily. So grading just means observing the vanilla pods and determining some characteristics such as moisture content, length, appearance, as well as aroma. So we have our grade A beans. These are known as our cooking or gourmet or luxury grade bean. This is the highest quality that you can find. It's has a moist texture, a strong aroma, and an oily surface. Now, luxury beans does not necessarily mean that they are best for extraction. Now, grade A beans contain higher levels of moisture, about 30 to 35%, which enables the vanilla to be absorbed more readily. Now, grade A beans are best used in baking, for ice cream, cheesecake, desserts, or drinks where you're looking for those visible vanilla specks. So what we are going to be using is grade B vanilla beans, and this is the extraction grade. It just means that it has a drier texture, an intense flavor, and it has a slightly woody taste to it. Now, this flavor is somewhat diluted compared to grade A, but it is actually easier to transfer the flavor off of these beans than it is from grade A beans. Grade B contains lower moisture levels of 15 to 25%, and this can help achieve an even more concentrated vanilla flavor. And grade B beans are best used for making homemade extracts, vanilla sugar, vanilla powder, as well as long infusions. And lastly, we have grade C. This is the lowest grade available for commercial purchase. Now, with that being said, I've actually yet to be able to find grade C beans. But basically, they lack moisture, they have split to cracks on the surface, and this is just generally due to poor handling during transportation or storage. So these grade B vanilla beans that I am going to be using for my extract, I purchased off of Etsy. Now, if you check out the description box below this video, I'm going to have that store linked. They was just a really good store. I don't have any affiliation with them. It was fast shipping, it was free shipping, and it's a Canadian company, which makes me happy as a Canadian. So definitely check out this store if you want. It was really, really good customer service, and I'm definitely going to be returning there when I have to buy beans in the future. Okay, let's now talk about types of alcohol. So I normally don't tell you what brands you need to be using. This is going to be no different. I don't know what you have access to, but I will be going over different types of alcohol and what each type has to offer because they're each a little bit different. First, we have vodka. Now, this is what I'm going to be using. It is also one of the more popular choices out there. Our flavor would be clean and neutral because there's not going to be any interference from the alcohol flavor. Now, the better the quality of the vodka, the cleaner and smoother that your vanilla is going to be, which means you're going to have stronger tones of vanilla in your overall product once it's finished. Now, vodka, they say, is typically odorless and tasteless, so it is going to allow for the full flavor of the vanilla to come through. Bourbon. Our flavor here would be smoky, caramel, and oak, and it's going to add deeper layers of flavor. Now, it is not as sweet as rum, but it is sweeter than vodka, and this is going to help bring out more sweetness from the vanilla beans without necessarily overpowering the aroma. White rum. So our flavor would be slightly sweet and mild. Now, white rum enhances vanilla's natural sweetness by adding a soft and tropical note. Now, white rum is an excellent choice as it is typically smoother than dark rum, and it's going to help bring out the greatest levels of sweetness from the vanilla beans. If you wanted to stick within the rum family, you could also use dark, gold, or spiced rums, but just know they are a little bit heavier and will provide a richer flavor and possibly a fruity undertone to the vanilla. So there are some recommended choices, but really you could choose anything. With that being said, alcohols that you would want to avoid would be flavored vodkas or spirits because the artificial taste in there was going to compete with your vanilla, and anything lower than that 35% isn't going to extract or preserve your vanilla properly. So just make sure that you are staying between the recommended proof or percentage amounts for your alcohol. If you were wanting to make an alcohol-free version, so instead of making an extract with alcohol, you just make one with glycerin, essentially creating a vanilla glycerite. And I'm going to give you instructions on how to do that right away. Before I get to sharing this recipe, I just want to invite you to check the description box below this video, and in there you're going to find a link to the full written blog article that does have all of this in written detail, as well as the link to the Etsy store if you want to support a small Canadian business and get your beans from her. So what you're going to need for equipment is you're going to need a cutting board, you're going to need a knife, we will need a glass jar or bottle to store everything in. I have a measuring cup to measure out my alcohol, and that's all you are going to require. If you were wanting to use glycerin and make a vanilla glycerite instead, you would use 1 ounce of vanilla beans to 1 cup of vegetable glycerin and half a cup of distilled water. So you would want to mix up your water and your glycerin together, put them both in a jar, shake it up till everything's incorporated, and then add in your beans. So what we are going to do is we are going to open up our jar and we are going to start getting our beans prepared. So you're just going to take one of your beans and you're going to split it down the middle. You don't need to cut it in 2 separate pieces, but we just want to cut it so that the little beans within the pod are exposed. And if you need to, you can definitely cut these in half to make sure they are going to fit into your jar. Perfect, just making sure that it is cut open. Perfect, so I have mine split open. I can see our beans. I'm just going to throw them directly into our jar after I cut them in half. Okay, so we will get all of these done and put them in our jar. Okay, so once all of your beans are split down the middle, throw them in your jar. I'm just cutting them in half to ensure that they're all going to stick below. Oh, they smell really, really good. So next, you're going to grab your required amount of alcohol. So I have 1.5 ounces of beans. I'm going to be using 12 ounces of alcohol. Perfect. And then we are just going to pour our alcohol directly over our beans. Okay, and then you want to definitely make sure that your alcohol is above the level of the beans. If any of the beans are sticking out, just cut them so that they're a little bit smaller and so that they are below the level of alcohol in your jar or your bottle. You're going to store this bottle at room temperature out of direct sunlight, and you're going to shake the bottle once a week. Now, this entire extraction process can take up to 12 months, but the vanilla will be ready to use you can use it as early as 2 months, but ideally 6 months is a good amount of time to allow a proper extraction. Now, once your extraction is complete, you can remove your beans or you can just leave them in. Other things that you can do once this extraction is complete is once you use a little bit of vanilla out of here, just put that same type of alcohol that you used, always topping it up, and this will ensure that you have a forever, essentially, bottle of vanilla that you will be able to use. We've now reached the notes and suggestions portion of this video. So keep in mind that vanilla will be ready to use as soon as 6 months, but the longer you wait, the better it is. 12 months or more is going to be best. You can leave the beans in the jar or the bottle as long as they are fully submerged. And once the extraction is complete, you can create a continuous extraction like I mentioned, just adding more alcohol as you use it. Just give that bottle a good shake after you refill it. Now, if you are going to be leaving those beans in your extraction, I recommend taking them out every 12 months and just changing them just to make sure that those beans are staying fresh. Don't forget to hit the like button if you like this video or share it with anyone else who you think might enjoy it. Consider subscribing to the channel so that we can spend more time together and that you don't miss future videos. But I just want to say thanks for stopping by today, and I'll see you next time.